right, I just got a couple more topics. So the other is the briefing process. When we hire, when clients hire us, the briefing process. How do you go through finding out what they actually need? What's your step-by-step method? Because I'm sure you got it down to a science now.
Yeah, I normally reiterate the details from the initial email that they sent over to us. Most of the times, it has the core details already.
Let's say you just jumped on a call, brand new client. What are you asking them?
Have I seen the email yet?
Maybe. You tell me.
Okay. I normally try to
say someone contacts us, I forward it to you, and I say, hey, this is Jake, introduce you. He's going to be the person that helps you. What do you do?
So what I do is, assuming that, it depends on whether I need, this is how much of a last minute call it is. Assuming it's not a last minute call, I usually try to introduce myself via email to them, or I reach out to them via WhatsApp, because most of the time these clients are already on WhatsApp anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty much the worldwide.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, messaging.
So I try to schedule a call with them saying, hey, so I'm Jake, I'm the regional producer, I'll be handling your project for you, nice to meet you. So I had a chance to look at your email, looks great, the project, we could definitely help with that. So before I send over the quotation, would you be free, let's say today or tomorrow, whatever the schedule may be, and just ask them, hey, are you free for a quick 30-minute call? Because that's usually the amount of time it takes for me to get the project details. 30 minutes. I don't want to talk with someone over an hour, and I don't think anyone wants to talk with me over an hour as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So once I get on the call with them, I actually, I reiterate the details that I got in the email. So most of the time it was just say, hey, we got a shoot coming up. They'll usually say what type of shoot it is and where it's going to be.
Yeah.
I reiterate the details to them from there. But then I ask them, but in any case, I would love to hear more about from your side, because they would know more about the project than I do. And I don't think they have the time or whatever. They didn't want to use that much time just to write everything in an email.
Yeah.
So I asked them, could you tell me a bit more about the project? They usually tell me everything that I would possibly need from there, but I try to listen in and I pick up on the cues. Like, for example, for example, where are we going to be filming? What the number of interviewees we'll be working with? Whether we have any sort of technical requirements from their side or crew requirements, because some clients, whether they're a production company or not, they would say, well, we only want 2, maybe 3 people maximum. Other people might say, we want at least 10 people. So getting all the
they have it kind of in their mind already what the shoot should look like, right?
Exactly. Some people might not, so they would trust us to give us our recommendation about what sort of crew size we'd be looking for.
Yeah.
So I would say, if they don't know, I would say, well, for this type of project, I'm thinking we'll need a director, a DOP, a camera assistant, sound person, and an independent production assistant, just to make it a 5-person team, because I like odd numbers. So 3 to 5 people sounds about right to me for a small to maybe medium-sized job, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
But then they'll say, well, we were hoping someone to go a bit for a larger team. So I say, okay, what do you think? What do you have in mind? Do you want a hair and makeup assistant?
And you relate this to not just numbers, but as in why do you need it, right? Because you want to cover hair and makeup, or you want someone to have good catering or take care of the client better, right?
Yeah. So, and it's also going to depend on their budget as well. I mean, for example, if they only have $1,000, it's going to be a bit of a challenge just to get a 7-person team.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's possible.
Unless you pay someone $50.
Yeah, this is something that's not possible.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. So anyway, so building off of that, once I get all the core details, which is the overall project timeline, because if they don't have a project timeline, then that kind of signals to me that this project isn't actually all that urgent.
Yeah.
So that way I can kind of push it down to the bottom of my list, which helps me prioritize. If they have a date in mind, let's say for example, I want to start shooting next week, then I'm saying, oh, okay, then this is definitely hot. So I say, okay, so what do you have in mind? What crew do you want? What language are we going to be conducting the shoot in? Do you have any sort of creatives that you need us to help with?
Yeah.
Because sometimes they do. Because let's say, for example, whether it's a corporate promotional campaign video, like what we did with Qatar National Bank, right? That one we definitely need to give some sort of creatives on.
Yeah.
Whether it's casting or location scouting, what have you.
Right.
Yeah. So that one definitely required more prep work.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually, that's one of the next things I want to talk about. So there's been 2 major commercials that we actually did. We did one for Qatar National Bank in Indonesia, and then we did one in China for Cisco.
Yes, we did.
Right. How was that working, or how was that? Because that was much different than an interview. Those weren't interviews, right?
Yeah, definitely not.
We hired, a proper DOP, right, that shoots commercials.
Yeah.
We actually had people on the ground that were kind of like directors, even though, so both of these had directors. Where were the directors and where were the crews? Like, how did that work out between everyone?
Well, for Qatar National Bank, that one was the crew were based in Jakarta themselves, exactly. But the main, like I guess you could say, the head director who was managing the overall project, right? He was based out in Egypt. Yeah. So what he would do, he would give us, like the creatives in terms of like what scenes we're going to be shooting in Jakarta, right? So our team, what we would have to do is find the necessary locations, find the appropriate casting and wardrobe, and whatever props that is needed for these sort of scenes, right? Yeah, we would find them, we would send them over for confirmation, make sure that the client is themselves and the director
for a proper commercial, right?
Yeah,
so
for
you're
a
doing
proper
this
commercial.
in a deck.
Yeah.
It's a PPM deck.
Yeah, exactly. So we would send these over and say, these are the options that we have. Which one do you like? Well, if you don't like any of them, let us know. We'll find up some more. Well, with your new list of criteria, right? Once we got everything confirmed, right? Then it switches over to the actual production work, where we have to do live streaming, making sure that things are, I guess you could say, running smoothly or according to schedule, according to the call sheet of the day.
Yeah, we're actually, I would say that like in situations, especially like this, because this is very sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Like there's professional expectations on every single corner.
Exactly.
With this type of thing, right? So what we're doing in that situation is we're receiving a lot of the we're giving feedback early to the people on the ground.
Yeah.
And we're managing that, any of the bumps and smoothing it out and figuring out, ways around it. We're very good. I think that we're a very good bridge, right, between clients and local production crews. That's really where our main talent lies.
Definitely, because sometimes like because the clients, like I can see from their point of view as well, like they're not on the ground and they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So they might be thinking, oh, something like this should take maximum 5-10 minutes. But there's something that's happening in the background that they're not aware of that's making things taking a bit longer than expected.
Yeah.
So what we need to, I feel like
there's no point in bringing it up because then it turns into a huge discussion.
Yeah,
and
like
you end
why
up
is it
wasting more time.
Yeah.
Than it does to solve it without bothering anyone.
Yeah. So what I feel like where we come in is like, okay, we check the schedule, like because we're more or less already on the same page as everyone else is anyway. So we double check to make sure, and we talk with the local like production coordinator or what have you in the where we're filming, right? And we see like, okay, guys, so the next thing we're going to be starting is doing this. So are we on schedule, or is there going to be any sort of delays? And so whatever they tell us, right, we try to make it. This is how we manage expectations to the client side. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to get into too much of the nitty gritty details about saying like why something's going to take the X amount of time.
Every production has its own unique challenge.
Yeah. So I would just tell them saying that, okay, guys, so the next scene we're going to start about this time. So we'll keep you posted. But yeah, we're just setting up now. And then we try to maintain a positive vibe, I guess.
Yeah, you have to, for sure.
Yeah, because if we start panicking, clients are definitely going to start panicking. Yeah. And then when they start panicking, then all hell just breaks loose.
Yeah. But we don't get into those situations.
No, we don't. We don't.
So don't worry about that. But tell us about China, the one in China, how we were doing that.
Right. So for that one, it was quite similar to Qatar National Bank, where we had to do the sort of casting and also find the locations, right? But the only difference with that one is that this one had a lot more street side filming, which we needed to acquire the appropriate permits to film in China, right?
So one thing I'd hope you just naturally go into, let me just direct it. So is the crew, so we were shooting in Guangzhou or Shenzhen?
We filmed in Guangzhou.
Okay, Guangzhou, right, which is like about 2 hours from the border of Hong Kong and what's the Portuguese, Macau.
Macau.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but Hong Kong and China had a quarantine, right? If you cross the border, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks or something like that. They had closed borders, is what it was, right? But Macau did not have a closed border
policy.
There was no closed border policy. Yeah, you're correct, because like there was no COVID cases or something recorded in Macau, or it was like 2. It was some crazy low number, right? And so you were able to freely cross the border, and so we were able to get Chinese crew from Macau that spoke English.
Yes.
Right. And that was the really the key thing that we were able to figure out how to logistically make this work, because for people who've not worked in China, I don't think, especially like Westerners, right? Americans, I'll say that, being from America, like there's a lot of them don't realize the different the difference between like working in China and the US, like there's no English. Like I can't explain how there is no English other than you going there. The first time that I shot a movie in China, I went to the coffee shop and I said 1 coffee. They didn't understand the word coffee, and they didn't understand the number 1, right? Like that's how little English there is in China. Real quick, guys, I just want to jump over and just a quick reminder for all the people that are listening. It's greatly appreciated if you could leave us a review about the podcast and let us know your thoughts. Just with that, if you can talk about the crew that we used and how that helped, you know.
Well, it definitely helped because, well, number one, we were able to find, you know, a producer and a very good DOP who's worked with commercials and had the experience working with Steadicams, which is one of the key requirements of this project. Like from the once we got the briefing from the client themselves. So they were based in Macau, both of the producer and the DOP, right? We talked with them, we got their reels, we showed it to the clients. Clients was amazed, and but going back to what you said about the language barrier, right? We definitely had to, you know, conduct some, I guess you could say 2 to 3 pre-production calls with these people just to make sure that, okay, number one, we're on the same page. 2, we're setting expectations from our side about what we're going to be requiring for this sort of for this project, whether it's locations, casting, wardrobe, props, what have you. And also 3, making sure that, you know, the scheduling is confirmed. Yeah, because, you know, with these commercial DOPs, their schedule is quite packed a lot of the times. So we want to make sure that, at least the good ones, you know. So we want to make sure that we're not going to get into any sort of scheduling conflicts, assuming that, for example, the dates change. We try to like confirm everything with the client themselves before we, you know, start locking in the crew. But we try to get like a good a date range. Just so, for example, hey, if a push comes to shove, if we need to push by 1 day, are you guys still free? They say yes, then that's perfect. That works fine for us. We introduce them to the client. Everyone's talking comfortably. There's no sort of language barrier. That makes the client feel more comfortable to work with us.
Of course.
And then also provides for a more smoother, you know, production day as well. Because we only shot for like 1 day. Yeah,
I understand. That's that makes it always easier too. I think whenever you're you know, the least amount of days, it's less to manage, especially remotely. One thing that I think that there's a lot of questions people have is, so after we've shot it, how do I get my footage, right? And obviously being in China, that is very, very difficult. And we've actually had a number of ways that we've done that. Like, so for Property Guru, right, for example, we had, I don't know how many interviews did we shoot over the 2 or 3 month period in just China?
In just China alone, I think we shot about, let's say, 15 plus interviews in about, let's say, 5 to maybe 7 different cities, whether it's Shanghai, Guangzhou, Nanjing, Nanning, Beijing, Suzhou. That's just like off the top of my head, right?
Right.
Now, for the most part, like at least during our first year, that was definitely a challenge because, you know, obviously Google Drive or Google itself and what is not available. It's banned. So what we had to do was use, I guess you could say, the China version of it, whether it's Baidu Cloud or Tencent Cloud, right? That one was a bit of a hurdle because we weren't familiar with it, and just the whole download time took. I guess you could say it prolonged the schedule, the post-production schedule.
This was a very much like an R&D process as we went through it.
But building off of that, after our second year, you know, we actually were able to come up with a system to transfer the footage to one of our, I guess you could say, main fixers or coordinators. His name is Sheldon, because he uses VPN, which allows him access to Google Drive. So what made the process a lot more faster and more efficient was that whoever we filmed with, right, they would just simply transfer the footage over to Sheldon, and then he would then upload it.
He basically, we condensed it down to him. He was the only bottleneck. Just one person.
Yes, exactly. So
because internally in China, it was no issue. Right. So they could get it to him.
Much more efficiently, much more quicker, like that. But once Sheldon has the footage, he has to upload it to us. But that's still, like, if you compare it from year 1 to year 2, it's like day and night.
Totally.
Year two was much more efficient. We got the footage a lot quicker. We didn't have to. We stuck to the schedule.
So for the Cisco commercial we were talking about, right? Like, if I remember correctly, too, because Macau is not blocking Google, right?
It does not.
what they did is they took the footage back over to Macau,
Yeah.
and then they uploaded it.
We did two things
Google
essentially.
Drive.
So the way we normally get the clients their footage, because assuming that we're not having to do any sort of post work for them, is two things. Number one, upload to either Google Drive or some sort of server the client already has prepared for them. Number two is just send over a hard drive.
Yeah.
A lot of the times I would say that the UK clients, they tend to prefer to get a hard drive.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but most of the time we just say, hey, we just upload to Google Drive. You can download from there. Are you guys cool with that? And you just say, yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a standard process anyways. We always upload to Google Drive, so there's always a copy online.
Yeah.
Because like it's that, we've had it actually where they required the drive. It's Friday.
Yeah.
DHL can't do a pickup until Monday.
Yeah.
Right. We uploaded it on Friday, and then they're able to download it on the weekend before they can even receive the hard drive.
Yeah. So it's like getting a head start essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Because with like sending over like parcels over to internationally, like sometimes it's going to be customs.
Yeah.
There's some sort of delays, some fees that have to pay. So it just makes things a lot easier by saying, hey guys, can I get your email? I'm going to share you a Google Drive link.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say, okay, we got it. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I think we have covered a lot. Do you have anything else that you want to mention or tell us about remote production? You're kind of like our remote production expert. So.
If anyone who's like looking to get into remote production, I would just say that learn to be flexible and just like be prepared to like receive text messages or emails at weird hours of the day.
This is clients and
both clients and the people who are going to be working with, because they're operating on two different time zones. So prepare to be like the bridge in between these two, but it definitely provides a very unique experience for yourself, because most of the times people want to get into the industry because they want to go fly out to these like new countries that they've never been with, been with before. But now, because COVID is still around. I mean, travel restrictions are lifting, right, for sure. But I think in this modern day of like filmmaking, it's best to like learn how to be able to work on the ground, but also work from wherever you are. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that people have now seen, like, there's a lot of companies that are not going back to the office even, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a thing now, right? Remote work is a thing, which I have a love-hate relationship with it, because like I like to see all the staff in here and know, like I'm sure you can understand that, because like if you have people here, like, because we'll assign staff to you sometimes that are working for you. Yeah. If you know that they're getting stuff done, it's better to be in the same room so that you can make sure this thing's going to be on time for a client, right?
Exactly.
That sort of thing. So like I have this love-hate relationship because I also like to work in cafes remotely.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like whatever I'm feeling at the time. But I would say that, like, this is going to be a thing moving forward. And, we all have to get used to it. And I think that a lot of budgets, I know a lot of budgets got slashed during COVID, right? So, and I know that when that happened, the filming also probably, it's some of it might not be coming back, those budgets, because they understand now they can do these things remotely. We don't need to send someone out to Singapore or to, Cairo or wherever it is, right? They don't need to send people out there, because now you can literally just get someone to do the interview, so you don't have to pay flights, hotels, per diem.
Exactly.
You lose 30 or 40% of your budget, or you save it, right, by doing it remotely.
Yeah.
Maybe even more sometimes. So that is something. Okay, I think we're almost out of time. I actually have a meeting I got to get to, but I just want to note as well, anyone, obviously, like any clients, please contact us. Always willing to, help problem solve, troubleshoot, or, talk with you about what you could do if you're interested. If there's any freelancers out there, they can go to our website and they can click on careers, or they can go to filma.io and they can sign up to be a freelancer or to be considered for remote production. So
yeah.
That is it, guys. That's the show, I think. So here's our outro music. Bye-bye.
Thanks.